kind of task, but they are meant to be used in different scenarios. And one such concept which is very confusing and it is most discussed among developers is the difference between server.transfer and response.redirect. Both response.redirect and server.transfer helps you to transfer a user from one page to the other page while the page is executing. So for example, let's say if you have webform1.aspx, while the webform1.aspx is executing, let's say there is an error or there are some scenarios where you would like to go and redirect to other page, then you can either use response.redirect or you can either use server.transfer. But the way they do this transfer or they do this redirect is very different. So in this video we will discuss about what is the difference between response.redirect and what is the difference between server.transfer and in which scenarios we should use them. So in order to understand both of these concepts and the differences between them, what I've done is I've created a very simple ASP.NET application here, and this ASP.NET application has two pages. One is webform1.aspx and the other one is webform2.aspx. In webform1.aspx, I have just put a very simple text here saying this is page 1 and it has a very simple button here. And in webform2.aspx, I just have a text here saying this is page 2. Now what we would like to do is we would like to redirect from webform1.aspx to webform2.aspx by using server.transfer and response.redirect. So let's first start with server.transfer. So what I'll do is in this button click here of webform1.aspx, let me go and write a simple code here. I'll say server.transfer to webform2.aspx, right? And let me run this in Google Chrome browser, okay? And let me tell you why I'm running in Google Chrome browser. So I'm going to do a Control F5. So there my application is running. So let's first go ahead and test it. So I'm going to go and click on this button here and you can see that it is redirecting to page 2. Okay. Now before I go ahead and I talk about the internals of server.transfer, one very important thing to note here is at this moment is that even though I have gone to page 2, my URL has not changed. So you can see that when I was on page 1, it was webform1.aspx, right? The other page, where I want to redirect is webform2.aspx. But even though when I'm doing a redirect, I'm getting the contents here, but the browser URL is not changing. So that is the first point to be noted about server.transfer, right? But that's a very minor point. Let's get into the very important difference between server.transfer and response.redirect. So in order to go and see what's happening internally, let me open up Google Developer Tools here. So I will do a Control-Shift-I. So once you do a Control-Shift-I, it actually opens up this Google Developer Tools here. And the whole point of using Google Developer Tools at this moment is that we would like to see that how the request and response are sent to the server. Okay. So what I've done is I've clicked on this network tab here. This network tab actually will tell you that how the request is sent and how the response is coming out from the server. So let me click on this button here and you can see over here that there is one single entry here saying webform1.aspx, right, and a post. In other words, what it is saying is that basically when you clicked on this button, it first sent a post to webform1.aspx and after that it redirected to webform2.aspx. Okay. So let me explain you internally what is happening. Remember, it's one single entry here. Okay. So let me explain you what internally is happening in server.transfer. So here is a diagrammatic representation of what has happened internally in server.transfer. So we were on webform1.aspx. So step 1, we clicked on the button and a post request was sent to webform1.aspx. Webform1.aspx then started executing its page lifecycle. Page lifecycle means your init event, load event, render, pre-render, all those events it started executing. So it executed the init event, it executed the load event, it executed the button click event. But as soon as it executed the button click event, it came across server.transfer, right? And it then created the object of webform2.aspx. It executed the full lifecycle of webform2.aspx and sent the response to the browser. So in simple words, in one single request, right, in one single request, it redirected from webform1.aspx to webform2.aspx, right? So this is what has happened internally. Now, there are three important points, we should carry at this moment about server.transfer, or we should note about server.transfer. First thing, right? In one single request, this redirect was done. Second thing, this redirect was done by the server. Remember, this redirect was done by the server. So in other words, when the post was sent, right, this whole page life cycle is getting executed on the server, right? So the server actually did this redirect and sent the response out. So that is the second point to note. And the third point to note is that the browser URL did not change, right? So 3 points. First thing, everything happened in one single request. The whole redirection happened in one single request. Second, this redirection was done by the server, right? And third, the browser URL did not change. Now let's go ahead and see that how response.redirect actually looks like. So what I'll do here is, let me just go and change this code to response.redirect. So really we don't have to do a lot over here. So you can see that I've just changed that server.transfer code to response.redirect. So let me do a control F5 again. So there my page is running. Again, let's open up the Google Developer Tools and let's click on this button. You can see now the first thing which is very important to note here is the URL has actually changed to the target page, right? So I was on webform1.aspx, but now I can see here webform2.aspx. So this was not seen in server.transfer. That is the first point. The second point, you can see that I can see here that there are two requests. First one, which is a post which is sent to webform1.aspx, and second one is a get, which is sent to the webform2.aspx. And you can also see that there is a status command here saying 302, right? So you can see here, from the request and response here, there are two requests actually. One is a post, the other one is a get, and there is a 302 found status over here. So let me again explain you diagrammatically what is happening over here. So this is what is happening internally in response.redirect. So we are on page 1, that is on webform1.aspx. We click on the button, a post is sent to the server. Okay. And on the server, then webform1.aspx starts executing its page life cycle. So the init event happens, load event happens. The time the button click event happens, right, he finds a response.redirect code, right? And the time he finds that code, he sends a 302 found request to the browser saying that browser, now you redirect to webform2.aspx, right? So he sends a 302 command to the browser. What is a 302 command? A 302 command tells the browser that he has to now redirect to a different page. Okay. So he sends him a 302 command here. He also sends him the page, where the browser has to redirect. Browser understands his 302 command and he sees that he has to redirect to webform2.aspx. So he does a HTTP get on webform2.aspx, right? So you can see that there is a double trip here. If you remember, in server.transfer, there was only a single trip, right? But here there is a double trip. Okay. So it sends a post. The server says, okay, here is a 302 command and you have to redirect to webform2.aspx. And after that, browser interprets this 302 command and he sends a HTTP get to webform2.aspx, and the response is finally sent, right? So two important points to note about response.redirect. First thing, it actually changed the browser URL to the target page. Second thing, the redirect is done by the browser. Remember, in server.transfer, the redirect was done by the server. So after all these demos, whatever you have seen here, right, the first conclusion you will draw from this is that, okay, server.transfer looks to be very efficient. In one single request is doing a redirection, so I will use server.transfer. But remember, as I've said, when I started this video, both of these things, right, they do the same thing, but they are useful in different scenarios. So for example, now let me do like this. Let me say here server.transfer, right? And let me try to go to questpond.com. Let me try to do this. So you can see here what I've done is, rather than redirecting to a page which is on my server, I'm trying to redirect to a different domain. Okay. So let me see that if this code works or not. So I'm going to go and run this page here. Okay. And let me click on this button, right? The time I click on this button, you can see that I'm getting an error here, right? So you can see that there is an error here, and this error says that no, I I cannot do this redirection. Okay, so you can see there is an error here. It's saying that, I can't do this redirection, right? In simple words, server.transfer only works for pages which are residing on your server, right? But if I do a respond.redirect here now, let's say if I do something like this, if I go and change this to respond.redirect, this will work. So if I do a control F5, and if I click on this button here, right, you can see that it has redirected to Response.com. So if you want to redirect to pages which are residing on the same server or on your own server, right, then you will use server.transfer. But if you want to redirect to pages which are lying on different domain or on different server, right, then you need to use response.redirect. So here is a summary table, a consolidated table with all the differences, which whatever I have demonstrated or whatever we have learned till now. So the first thing is redirection, right? The biggest difference between server.transfer and respond.redirect is who does the redirection. In server.transfer, the redirection is done by the server. In response.redirect, the redirection is done by the browser client. In server.transfer, the URL does not change, while in response.redirect, the URL changes to the target page where you have redirected. And the most important is when to use them. If you want to redirect between pages which are on the same server, then server.transfer is much efficient because in a single request the redirection happens. But if you want to redirect between pages on different server and on different domain, then you will use response.redirect. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video. In this video, we were understanding the differences between server.transfer and response.redirect. Now, in the coming up videos, we'll talk about two important Boolean flags which are connected to server.transfer and response.redirect. So one such flag is preserve form and the other one is end response. So this preserve form actually belongs to server.transfer and the end response flag actually belongs to response.redirect. So in the coming up video, which is a connected video to this video, we'll talk about these Boolean flags and their importance about it. Thank you so much.